What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another superstar from the sport of mixed martial arts. Vicente Luque is our guest today. He's going to be fighting Ian Machado Garry at UFC 296 here in Las Vegas, December 16th. Big fight for both of these welterweights. How you doing, Vicente? Good to talk to you.
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. And yeah, very excited for my next fight. I think it's going to be a big one.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was I started looking you up. What's going on with Vicente Luque? You know, I go to the Instagram, I go to your record and all that. And right away, you're greeted with a picture that shows you and Ian. Sorry. Looks like you guys have just had a practice and you're conversing. So no bad blood here. Everything seems to be cool. A lot of great comments below as well. Tell us, is it as smooth as it looks like in that picture? Like, how's the distribution of coaches going to work, and the gym time, is it split? How is all that?
So from what I understand, I don't think Ian is going to be coming here for this camp, but I'm not sure yet. So from what I understand, I think he's going to have his training camp in Europe, and I'm gonna be all the time here at Killcliff in Florida. I live here for a while now, so yeah. I mean, for me on my side, it's always been about business. I have a great relationship with Ian. I think he's a great guy. Always training. He has always helped me. I've helped him in whatever I can also, and it was always good energy between each other. But now we're opponents, so we're gonna go there and try to beat each other. And it's just part of the job, part of the game. And yeah, I'm looking to make it as professional as possible. But regarding the team, until now, I don't think he's coming. I don't know. Maybe he'll change his mind. I'm not sure yet.
And that this is a case of seniority, basically. You've been there longer.
I mean, it wasn't something that really was talked about, at least between me and the coaches. I don't know what Ian, talked to the coaches. All I did was talk to Ian. I did talk to him. I sent him a message and let him know that, for me, there's no hard feelings. It's not gonna be personal at all. It's all gonna be about, me wanting to be the best. He wants to be the best. Now at this point, we're very close in the rankings. There aren't so many options. So we got to go out there and test ourselves, see who's better. And at the end of the night, then after everything is done, we'll see how it goes from there. But from now, we're opponents. We got to go there. We got to fight, give it our best. And, it's all about that. So I don't really know if he's going to come here. And if he isn't, why he isn't. Maybe he just prefers to train somewhere else. But I really don't have much more insight about that.
Who will be your coaches on December 16th? Who will be in your corner?
Yeah, so I don't have 100% what my corner is going to be. I'm going to be training with everybody here at Killcliff. Henry is the hardest situation is for Henry because he is our head coach. He has helped Ian so much, so he is a
Mm-hmm.
big part of Ian's career as well. So I feel like that's really hard for him. So he let me know that he's not going to corner me for this fight, nor he's going to corner Ian. He's going to stay more out of it. But still, I'm still going to be going to the practices. He still runs, kickboxing, sparring. He's there every day. So everything is going to remain the same in training, at least for me. But he's not going to be cornering me for that fight. So I'm still deciding what I'm going to do with that. But I have Greg. Greg is probably going to be cornering me for this fight. But it's still far. I like to really align that up when maybe I'm like 6 weeks out. I know which are the coaches that I'm working with more and feeling, like I have a better connection. So I still haven't made my mind up about that, but I'm working with all the guys at Killcliff.
I gotta tell you, your answers seem so professional, and I applaud you guys for handling it this way. And it seems like everything's direct and honest, the communication, and that's awesome. It's a tough spot because you're right, two highly ranked welterweights doing their thing and puts everyone in a tough position. I wanted to ask you, a few years ago this happened with Usman and Burns, and I've seen that since then because Usman, I know, wound up going to Denver, But since then, he still comes back. He's welcomed by the team. It seems like it's still his house. What would you say that as an observer of that situation, did that go pretty smooth? And is that how you would like this situation to go as well for you?
I think that that fight is a fight that for me was a great learning opportunity because I have great relationships with both Gilbert and Kamaru. I'm great friends with Gilbert. I cornered him for that fight, and but at the same time, I had a good relationship, and I still do have a good relationship with Kamaru. He helped me a lot for the RDA fight. He was going to Kill Cliff, sparring with me, wrestling with me. So it was great to have him there, and it was good for me to live that back in the days in outside, not being part of the fight but being part of the corners and seeing how that energy, and how that feels because it was something that was pretty different, pretty new, having these guys training so many years together, and then now they're gonna fight for the title. Kamaru ended up leaving the gym for a while, training there at Denver. But yeah, I think it was handled in a way. There were emotions. I think there are two guys that are much more, let's say, emotional than me in a way, in the sense that they bring the emotion into the fight. They're guys that really, you can see the way that they are aggressive, the way that they, take fighting is a little bit different than my approach. So I think that there were emotions, but they were able to handle that very well afterwards. Everything was said and done, and the fight went on. Everybody, was cool about it. Little by little, Kamaru started coming back to the gym, working with everyone there. Even helped Gilbert for a lot of his recent fights. So yeah, I think that was a great example for me, and also took a lot from that, especially the fight week, because that's really when we get to see our opponent, we get to interact with our opponent, and we get to have that enter. For me, it's kind of entering in that real fight mode, that mode where, okay, it's not training camp anymore. Now it's time to go out there and show up, and that interaction is different when it's somebody that you've been working with for so many years, that you know for so many years. So I kind of got a lot of what happened with Kamar and Gilbert. I think it's definitely going to help me for this fight whenever I'm there and I see Ian, and I can just realize, yeah, this guy is my friend. This guy is a training partner. But now, hey, it's game time. Now we're going to go in there and we're going to, try to get him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Vicente, in covering the sport throughout the years, there's been so many evolutions. Early on, when we would break down fights, a lot of the times it was a striker versus a grappler or that sort of thing. And now everybody is so well versed in everything that kind of starting to go away. Um, Teammates fighting each other is still a little different, but not that different because the gyms are so big now. Do you think maybe like 2, 3 years from now, this won't even be a big deal anymore? You think the mentality of fighters from big camps will just already be mentally prepared for these types of things?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that this is the future. It has shown. I started in the UFC when I was training at the Black Zillions. We had the whole Black Zillions versus ATT thing, and there I could see like these big teams that really put money into developing a great facility, having great coaches, having a great staff. That does make great fighters. That does create a great environment. But that also is going to have a whole bunch of guys that are from the same gym at the top of the division. So I think the future is this. Eventually we're gonna more and more be fighting guys that are in the same team, and maybe the next step will be to how do we plan for that? How can we have both guys train at the same gym and still fight? Maybe different hours, maybe have multiple facilities in the same city. But yeah, I think in a way that in the future this is going to happen more often.
Your last fight, the last victory, can you maybe point to something that you felt like maybe changed in you, to maybe start another one of your streaks? Because you've had some pretty good streaks throughout your career, and this could be the beginning of another one. Is there anything that you felt in the last camp or in the last fight that clicked for you?
Yeah, a lot of things. I think that definitely from my all the moments in my career in the UFC, this was the moment where I had more changes. So I moved from Brazil to Florida, full time over here. I had the biggest layoff in my career. A whole year without fighting, and part of that was a long time, over 6 months without sparring. So because of my recovery and everything. But that was really good for me to start training in different ways, start training things that I maybe didn't develop as much, and I realized that I do have other tools, more tools to develop, and even in my striking, which has always been one of my strongest points, I still had so much to improve, so much to develop, but I didn't have enough time here in Florida and with the coaches over here to really work on that and really give them a chance to look at my tools, look at my skill sets, and tell me, hey, maybe you should work on this. Maybe we could focus a little bit more on footwork, head movement, and all these different things. So yeah, I think that this is a different moment. I've changed a lot. I've evolved, but I feel like I was able to evolve in the best way, which is the old me, the good things that were back then in me are still here. I'm still young. I'm still hungry. I'm still dangerous, be it on the striking or be it on the ground. But now I'm a much more experienced, much more intelligent fighter, and I think that put together just really brings the best out of me. So that's what I think that this new streak is here to show, the best version of myself.
Vicente, can you talk a little bit about the situation you're in? Because Ian is relatively a newer fighter, but I think we've seen enough of him where we all respect that this is a very, very good fighter. Um, a victory here, I think half of the people will say that was a very quality win for Vicente, but then you might get the other half that go, oh, maybe Ian just wasn't as good as everybody said. What can you talk about that balance and what you feel like a victory here can do for you?
Yeah, what I think is, I for many many years I looked at the rankings in the UFC as in common sports. So I thought like, okay, if I'm number 15, I gotta fight number 14 or 13. I'm gonna move up. Then I gotta fight number 10 or 11. I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna fight number 6 or 5. I'm gonna move up. That was my approach. So I was always looking at that, and I came to realize that not necessarily that's what's gonna happen. And especially now, I've been in the top 5. I've been a number 4 ranked in the welterweight division. So I've gotten there. I moved down. So for me right now, what makes more sense is fights that really are gonna put the eyes on me, are gonna put eyes on what I can show, what I can do. And I think RDA was a fight like that, a former champ, a guy that wasn't ranked in my division, but still, regardless, he was number 9 in the lightweight division, was a guy that had a lot of history. We were fighting a main event and people had eyes on that. So that was a fight that made a lot of sense for me. And I think Ian is the same kind of fight that makes sense. Why? He's an up and coming, undefeated young guy, young prospect. He has a lot of people that back him, that are gonna be, cheering for him. And at the same time, he is a guy that talks a lot. And that brings you hate as well. So there are a lot of guys that just want to go out there and see him lose. Regardless, people are going to be watching. People are going to have eyes on that fight. And at the end of the day, they're going to be watching me as well, watching what I can do. So that's what I see in the fights right now. I've already proven that I can fight against the toughest guys. I've already proven that I can reach the top 5 of the division. What I need now is people to, watch me, people to know who I am, who know my style, and start getting behind that, because I'm not the guy, and I won't be the guy that is gonna, trash talk and offend other people, just because that's not who I am. But I am the guy that can go out there and put on amazing fights. And why not do that against the guys that everybody is watching, against the guys that everybody, goes out there and makes sure that they don't miss their fights. So that's why it makes sense. I know that I bring the real fans to watch the fights, but Ian is a guy that brings, maybe that casual fan that hasn't been watching for so long. And now all of these fans together get to watch our fights, and I'm able to perform for more fans, and that's gonna, move me up the rankings, because I've seen that now. Not only fighting the right, the top guys is the thing. Sometimes fighting a prospect that has a lot of hype that has a lot of promise is also, a way to get up there and make sure that I get in a good spot in the division.
Your main card, right? I mean, that's probably a dumb question, but I'm pretty sure your main card for this event.
I believe so. Yeah, for now we're our main card. I think we'll remain there. And yeah, I mean it's a fight for the main card. It's definitely going to be a lot of
Yeah.
action.
And it looks like you might be the first fight of the night. That's kind of nice to know, right? 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. You know exactly how to do your warm up and what time you're going to fight versus other spots where you rely on if a fight finished fast or if they're running behind or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes, we're warming up and then 2 knockouts happen and then we don't know what we're going to do. We got to rush everything. And other times I warm up too much because the fights are going on and they never finish. So yeah, it's good to kind of have that perfect time frame. I know when I'm going to fight, I start warm up and get in there.
Man, this is a deep card. We got the 2 title fights, Edwards and Covington, so that's welterweight. Shavkat and Thompson, that's welterweight, and you and Gary, excuse me, you guys are welterweights. So this division is really going to be shaken up pretty well. I always like that. The spotlight is going to be on 170. The champ is fighting, and so anybody that's in pursuit of that title is on the same timeline as well. So I don't know if that's ever mattered to you or not, but I think this is a big deal for the welterweights.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And for me, like that's why also another reason why it made so much sense to be, in this card, because the title is gonna be, finally they're gonna fight for the title. We're gonna have Leon try to defend his title. We have Shavkat and Wonder Boy fighting as well. So it's a lot of move in the division. I want to make sure that I'm in that move as well, another opportunity to move and get in that mix. The guys that are not going to be fighting until next year, maybe they're going to be one step behind us. So I want to be, make sure that I'm there walking with the division, making sure that I'm, showing my name and showing my skills and being there, approaching and getting closer to that title.
Vicente, I just looked at the rankings and it looks like you're below right now in the rankings. But I'm talking about Chile versus Peru because we play you guys on Tuesday in South American qualifying soccer. Are you going to be watching?
Yeah, man, for sure. And whenever I have some time to watch. I do watch some soccer. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm always there for Chile and for Brazil. Those are kind of games that I like to watch.
Yeah, I won't say nothing about Brazil because they're at the top, but our mom's from Peru, so we'll be watching the game. We'll be watching. It's Peru versus Chile. It's coming up here in 2 days, I believe. And we both need some wins to get up there because neither team started off too well.
And Chile and Peru, it's always a big rivalry.
Big rivalry.
There's all the like what's from what.
Ceviche.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never ends.
Yeah. Do you like Peruvian pisco? I mean, I am pretty partial. I think the pisco in Peru is better.
I don't drink, so I cannot be judged for that. But I love, Peruvian food, Chilean food. Whenever I can eat both, I do. I think that it's very characteristic, and especially like even if you get the same food in the different countries, there is always, something special about each. It's not equal. It's not the same. Each one puts their different twist. So I respect both cuisines. It's like brother countries. They're so close to each other.
Yeah, no doubt. We want to thank you for the time as always. And like I say, this has been handled as professional as it can be between two teammates having to fight. It seems like you guys have all your ducks in a row, and it's just a matter of 2 prize fighters competing, doing their job, and then hopefully afterwards everything goes as smooth as it appears it has gone with Usman and Burns. That was great to hear that Usman's come back and even helped Burns. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm looking forward, especially for the fight. I think it's gonna be action packed. I've trained so much with Ian. I've always, like people say now, okay, this guy is a real deal. I've always thought that he was gonna be where he is. I've always saw a lot of talent in him. but now I'm out there, looking to fight him. So I'm definitely gonna be ready, to handle this, to handle his skill, and more important than everything, put a show for everyone.
Is it safe to say, by the way, and I'm not trying to play gotcha or nothing like that, so I'm going to
Yeah.
ask a fair question. Is it safe
Yeah.
to say, maybe some parts that he's a little more deficient at than you are, and he knows the same about you?
For sure,
Like,
I
yeah.
definitely think so. Because training is different. Training is different than fights. I try not to really look so much at training. I trained with Bilal right before I was scheduled to fight him the second time. So we
Hmm.
were in Vegas at the same moment, and we got to train a little bit with each other. And it's hard, trainings, you can see some things, but you cannot get that and take it for a fight. But I definitely saw a lot of his skill, his strong points. I think that's the main thing I should focus on, and just be aware. Yeah, I know what weapons he's going to try to use, and obviously be ready for anything that he's going to try to surprise me.
Yeah. All right, Vicente. Thank you as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.